I'm Joseph Johnson Afthonidis. I'm an actor and interdisciplinary artist from Greece, and I live in Brooklyn, New York.
What was it like growing up in Greece?
Growing up in Greece was pretty awesome. I grew up in an island called Kalimnos in the Dodecanese, which is like in the southeast Aegean, close to Turkey, and I also grew up in the north suburbs of Athens.
How did your childhood in Greece influence your work as an artist?
I guess my influences came from just like my surroundings. Subconsciously, I guess, I don't know. I feel like it definitely played a role, but I don't know how well I could probably articulate it.
What does being an artist mean to you?
Being an artist to me is like an involuntary choice that is bestowed onto you by the universe. I'm of the humble belief that I was born an artist, but I also believe that people can enter the arts and they can go down artistic paths in their lives, or discover them later on in their lives. But I feel like I was privileged enough to be born an artist and choose the path of theater, and then I kind of reached like a crossroads, and instead of going through one, I kind of turned them into one path again.
Do you believe that anyone can be an artist?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like part of the beauty of the arts is that it speaks to everyone somehow, in some way, and people just have to give themselves permission to fully encompass whatever artistic facet that they find speaks to them. But I do think that there's also kind of I don't know, an organic artist, if you will, and someone who turns themselves into an artist. Even though there's no real comparisons. I don't really believe in that. I don't really believe in comparisons.
Do you have a favorite piece that you've created?
I have a few favorite pieces, I guess. I would say this one, which is my first piece that I did out of my National Geographic collages. This was kind of like a prototype almost, like not even a complete thought to it. It just kind of happened. But I call it the Portrait of Power because there's this ganja farmer just cutting up some weed, looking like a badass. And then I guess my second favorite in recent history is this, which is a like secondhand record that I didn't like the cover of. Well, and I turned it into my own album cover rather, with its own record on the inside, which kind of is indicative of the cover. So it's kind of cool. I call it Embryo. But yeah, I have a couple of pieces that I really like, but those are probably two that I could immediately just kind of refer to.
As a multidisciplinary artist, which form of artistic expression do you most identify with?
I would say I'm lucky enough to share a very strong passion for all of my artistic facets, whether that's collecting analog music and playing it, or my visual art, which is kind of expanding already. I'm finding new ways to like create things that I didn't know I could do, like actually paint as opposed to just make collages. But I would say like my driving passion has always been theater and film and acting. And I think that as an actor, you are meant to just kind of be as receptive as possible and become a sponge towards your environment and your surroundings and the people around you. And I feel like the tools that I got from acting school made it so that I could realize these different like facets and artistic avenues or artistic muscles, if you will, that I also learned to flex afterwards and train.
You moved to New York to study acting. How has living here influenced your work?
My acting work or my work in general?
All your work.
Moving to New York made it so that I feel like I had to give myself a new degree of excellence or a standard of completion or work that would make it so that I can keep going and I didn't feel stagnant. I didn't feel like I was like stuck. And I feel like the general pace of the city helps for that. You know, like I don't think people who like half-assing things or have a habit of half-assing things can really go very far in New York, because you can tell who half-asses things from who actually goes all in with what they do. And I feel like people who go all in with what they do ultimately get more doors open for them in this city. So I would definitely say that it forced me and it forced my work ethic to be that of proliferation, like just being as prolific as possible with my music or my visual art or my theater.
What does a day in the life look like for you?
Okay, so I wake up, I make my bed. First thing I do is make my bed, because if you make your bed, then it's the way I see it is that it's like a mirror reflection of how your day is gonna go. It's just kind of like creating the order, so there is order in the day. And then I put on a record, whatever record I feel like. And then I do a couple sun salutations, which you will be aware of what that is, but I don't know if your viewers are. So it's a salutation to the sun, like a little yoga vinyasa that wakes me up, makes me feel more energized and more like awake. And then I just kind of like go with the flow, whatever that might mean. Clean my room, like sweep it, or start playing some records, mix some records for like 30 minutes, and then probably go outside. Just take in some air and some rays. But that's basically a typical morning routine.
What's your creative process like?
I feel like my creative process is kind of it's a mixture of like meditation and ritual, because I feel like I get lost in the process or the work that I end up doing, whether that's character development or writing or even like my collage work. And I think that that's kind of provided by the set and setting that I create for myself, whether that's like listening to a certain like type of music or like getting in a kind of headspace before I start working on a piece. And yeah, I feel like I get this sense of like tunnel vision with my work that like I lose like the sense of time, and it just kind of happens. And then I realize when I'm out of it, oh, this happened. So, and sometimes I can see like the immediate influences of that thought process or that tunnel vision, and sometimes I don't, and it's kind of like subconscious or instinctual.
Are you working on any new projects or any collaborations?
I guess I am, yeah. I recently was featured in a radio show that a friend of mine does for this radio in Bushwick, and I was there like 2 days ago, so it was pretty fun.
What's the name of the radio show?
It's called Tony Flo's Groove Pools on Newtown Radio every Wednesday.
Who are your top 5 artistic inspirations?
Oh no, not this again. All right, off the dome, we got this. Musical inspirations would include Fela Kuti, the Moody Blues, and the Doors. And then I will also say artistically, Ralph Bakshi, who was a native New York Jewish writer and director, and he delved into mixed media work and experimental movies in the 60s, and it was very poignant, like social commentary of America, and it was brilliant work. That's 4, right? And then my last one would be myself. Yeah, I feel like I'm lucky enough to get influenced by previous thoughts or previous endeavors or attempts of doing things that might not always work the first time, but like I can revisit them, and I feel good knowing that I can revisit a lot of things that I've done before and see where that takes me.
Anything else you want to share?
I don't know. Usually, lately, I've just been expressing a general sense of gratitude with my friends and with people that I, you know, just interact with on a day-to-day basis when they've asked me, like, so what else is on your mind? I've usually gone back to just saying, lately I've been feeling really good about life and about myself and about my friends and our accomplishments collectively. And I just feel really lucky to be surrounded by the people that I'm surrounded by.
And where can people find your work?
You can find my work on Instagram. I'm working on a artist website, but for the time being, you can find me on Instagram at The Life of Trips. That is DALYFEOFTRIPS, The Life of Trips. And you can just hit a DM and ask for, my availability in terms of my pieces, or just ask for a commission. Otherwise, The Life of Trips or my email, which is calijama@gmail.com.
Cool.
Yeah. Hey, it's been Joseph Johnson Afthonidis and you. I don't know. Yeah, thank you so much for watching this little segment and being a part of this artistic experience. Thank you. Woof.